All right, so what are Amazon's requirement for food products? When you are looking to sell a product through Amazon FBA or even just on Amazon, but this video specifically, we're going to dive into a question that we had from one of you, our subscribers, in regards to Amazon FBA. I'll make sure that is on there. There we go. Okay. And it was in regards to a meat jerky business. I believe it's either beef jerky or chicken jerky of some kind that the customer was making. The subscriber was going to ask us about what is the quantity to send them in and what are some of the requirements to do that. So I wanted to dive into that question specifically on this video. So I wanted to kind of touch base with you a little bit about some of the selling requirements when you're utilizing Amazon FBA for food. It is actually quite different than any other type of product when you're tapping into that type of logistics and distribution. So in this podcast, I wanted to get right down into it. So if you're brand new, welcome. My name is Damian Roberti. I'm founder and CEO of Marketing Food Online. We are food entrepreneurs. My wife and I have been selling online for over 14 years. I make a full-time living doing what I do. On Amazon's platform, actually, we've just touched out a little bit over $1 million of our snacks and candies and things. We actually have a commercial kitchen here just next to our studio. That's where we produce everything and make everything. So let's dive specifically into, I wanted to give you some tips and pointers and some of the requirements that I have actually had to acquire, because at one point we had 40 to 45 items at FBA. So selling food products through Amazon FBA, fulfillment by Amazon as it's called, comes with its own, of course, sets of challenges and considerations. So I want to get you some understanding of, here are some key points that you want to be aware of when you're selling food via that service in particular, because of food category, gourmet food category, it is a trick just to get into it, to get approved, but then to tap into it and make it profitable for food. It's very challenging. Number one, expiration dates, very, very crucial. So the products that actually have an expiration date must have a remaining shelf life of at least 90 days when received by Amazon. So the items that expire and or still in Amazon's fulfillment centers within that 50-day period actually will be removed and even thrown away. So you want to make sure that you're keeping on top of your quantities that are in hand in the facility. So the expiration date also must be displayed in a certain format, giving the month, the date, and a 4-digit year, not just 2. Next up, the labeling. This is very critical and extremely important that you follow this. Labeling. All food products must be labeled properly according to, of course, your local regulations and FDA regulations. This includes nutritional information. You want to make sure you have allergen warning on there as well, and any other relevant details that you want to have about the product. Obviously, the net weight has to be on there as well, your allergens, your nutritional analysis, as I mentioned. Yes, and then, of course, your brand. You want to have your logo on the front and the back. Now, the product name, the list of ingredients, allergen information, and place of production should clearly be mentioned. Now, this is something that a lot of people may misunderstand, but you want to have either the address of your facility or your website with the address on the website. There has to be some traceability. They got to know where did it come from. So packaging. Now, the food products must be protected against, of course, any kind of contamination and should be packaged in a way that actually prevents any damage during the shipping and storage process. This is really important if you've got food products that could potentially break or damage, like for instance, bags of potato chips, pretzels, any meltable items that could be squished or mushed or grabbed or mixed up. Those you want to be aware of. Packaging should be new and, of course, not previously used. You can't sell or refurbish food products, so you can't do that either. Restricted products. Now, Amazon has a list of restricted products, specifically even in the food category. Now, this ensures that the food product you're selling is not on that list. For instance, certain perishable goods or even alcoholic beverages may be restricted as well. These are products that are perishable that could actually go bad sitting on the shelf. They're not shelf stable, time or temperature sensitive. And let's dive into that too. The other thing that kind of taught me along the way from just experience was time and temperature sensitive products. So if you're selling products that are sensitive to temperatures, be aware that Amazon might not actually have specialized storage for those items. And as a matter of fact, they don't. We had a lot of candies we sent out. We had to pull them back during the spring and summertime. Chocolates, for example, they can melt during summer or spring months. The facilities aren't necessarily kept at a certain temperature or adequate temperature, and sometimes they do melt dramatically. Inventory management, you want to be on top of this too. Now, given the perishable nature of food products, it's actually crucial that you want to manage inventory effectively. You want to monitor your inventory levels closely to avoid having expired products in the warehouse. As I mentioned, if it's within that 50-day window, they will grab it and then throw it into the trash can. And they actually charge you, by the way, for them to pull it from the shelf and throw it into the trash. Next up is the shipping. Let's make sure that's good. All right, sorry. Ensure that your products are shipped in a manner that maintains quality. You want to make sure your product arrives perfect, guys. So this might mean using insulated packaging in some cases, or even cold packs in certain items if it has to be maintained at a certain temperature. Now, I get a lot of questions about food products through FBA and the return process. So, obviously, food products are typically not returnable, but you'll still need to have a clear return policy in place. You want to make sure you understand you either refund the customer or send out a new product. So, if a customer receives a damaged or expired product, you need to process and to address that issue ASAP. Normally, if you get a complaint or a question or a comment via email through Amazon, you have 24 hours to answer it. Regulations and compliance. Now, this is another thing you want to think of. Ensure that you're compliant with all your local food safety regulations. This might include regulations that have actually been set up by the FDA in the US or the FSA in the UK. So if you're selling food through Amazon UK, sorry about that, you want to definitely check those regulations as well. So some countries or even regions might have specific regulations about importing certain food products. So you want to ensure that you're aware of those as well, even when you're selling internationally. So we're getting back to the question that I had before. The one thing that was really interesting about the question was that they wanted to know if you guys, should I send out 100 bags or should I send out 1,000? So what's the best quantity, Damien, to send of my product? There is no good equation for this, but let me give you some experience of what I did. When it comes to food products and you've got a specific designated window of expiration or best buy, it's not actually expiration, it's actually best buy. You want to send out, at first, when it's a new product, you want to send out about 24 to 48 units. Don't send out 100, don't send out 1,000. And let me explain why. You want to send out about 24 to 48, because what I did when I first had some of our trail mixes and some of our other brittle candies, which are really temperature sensitive, is I sent out a lot. I think it was close to 100 or 200 units. I was hoping that it would sell. With it being a new product, it's very hard to get traction with new products, and it takes time. All that time that your product sits in a shelf in a warehouse with Amazon, it just means the less time it's going to sell. I'd rather have 24 or 48 units and sell out of it and then replenish it than have 100 units in there and I sold 10 and I just had to throw away 90. Or I sold 50, threw away 90. Or 50, sorry. So you want to just keep that in mind, that the less, when you first start off with, I'd rather have you send less amounts that you can replenish, as opposed to say, yeah, you know what, send out 1,000 units or even 1,500, and then you don't sell half of them. You're just wasting your money and your resources. So highly recommend that you take the time to stay on top of the inventory, of course, but send out a few and sell out of it. Send out more, sell out of it. If you send 48 and you sell out of them, then maybe next time you can double that up. Maybe you can send 100 units. But the other thing I was going to tell you is that there are some great products that are good for a long time and are not time or temperature sensitive. Now, your question was about meat jerky. So jerky in general is actually a very fantastic product because it can be held. By the way, they handle these packages very rough. All right, so yes, so they actually handle a lot of these packages very roughly, if you want to say that, in the warehouses. So things like meat jerky, spices, nuts, trail mixes, dry, long shelf life products that are durable are fantastic for Amazon FBA. Other things that are not, obviously, chocolate truffles or chocolate covered Oreos or pretzel rods that are chocolate, anything that's very delicate or time or temperature sensitive, not a good idea for Amazon FBA. So your question was about 100 or 1,000. If I was me, if you're having 2 or 3 or 4 different flavors, you have different types and different flavor profiles, send about 24 to 30 packs of each. That's it for right now. I would not send hundreds and hundreds of packs. Sell out of it, like I said, and then replenish it. When it comes to meat jerky, it is a great item for Amazon FBA because the quality of it really isn't necessarily time or temperature sensitive. So if I were to get a package of beef jerky or meat jerky that's been in a warehouse, it's probably going to be really, really good. So those are great items. Spices, again, have a very long shelf life, and you can handle them very, very roughly, and you can send them. They don't damage or break unless they're in a glass bottle. So keep that in mind. I think that the product itself, yes, is a great idea. You could do it very well, but make sure you stay on top of the inventory and you know which is coming up as far as expiration dates. Now, a couple other really important legal things: liability and, of course, insurance. Now, you need to have an insurance policy when you are working with Amazon FBA for food. Given that you're selling consumables, of course, there's a risk that customers claiming they got sick from your product, which may happen. Thank God I've actually been in the business for 14 years. I haven't had any of that myself, so that doesn't hang up. But it's wise to have liability insurance, and it's also necessary because Amazon needs to be on that policy. It needs to be written on the writer, okay? Now, the other thing you want to keep about, it's kind of a good and bad thing, and I've experienced positives and negatives too, is reviews and feedback. So food products can be subjective in terms of taste and preferences, so people have a tendency to be a little more judgmental. Monitor your customer reviews closely and address any consistent feedbacks or concerns. Be on top of that, guys. That's definitely something you want to do as well. The last thing I wanted to touch on that's really important to keep your food products moving through the Amazon FBA system and not staying there is product listings. You want to ensure that your product listings are accurate. Misrepresentation can lead to serious issues with people, especially if customers rely on ingredient lists due to allergens. That's also really important too, dietary restrictions. So make sure that you have all of your ingredients or allergens listed. Very important for customers to choose your product. So selling food on Amazon FBA can definitely be a profitable idea, but it's essential to be meticulous. You got to be about the details to ensure that the customer's safety and satisfaction is always 100%, as well as to remain compliant, of course, with Amazon's policies and local regulations. So keep all that in mind. Some really good advice. So if you're looking to sell a food product, definitely take heed of some of these things I mentioned. I learned kind of the hard way. We used to have a lot of items in Amazon FBA. The price to fulfill them have gone up, so it's not necessarily something for our products. There's a lot of lighter items. If you're below a pound, if you're less than a pound, you can cash in on some of the better price points to do fulfillment from. But definitely keep in mind that it's just something that you don't necessarily want certain products in Amazon's hands, especially during the spring and summertime, because they do not put ice packs in certain products, and it will melt, and customers will get complaining. And that falls on you, not Amazon. Amazon washes their hands of any responsibility when they fulfill your product. Trust me. And all right, if you have any more questions, let us know, and definitely hit the subscribe button if you've got more questions about Amazon. We'll be happy to answer them for you. I'll see you on our next podcast.